Okay, so where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? Like, okay, for instance, social media, right? We have the entities. All these entities are intertwined. Whether it's X, whether it's Instagram slash Facebook, pretty much Meta. TikTok has their own crap that's with them, or whatever. Um, but a lot of these social media entities um, are connected to the person that's in office that's signing all these bills to pretty much make the disenfranchised population even more disenfranchised, correct?
Correct.
But
You said it beautifully on your most recent podcast episode. Yep.
yeah, so okay, but at the same time, where do we draw the line? Like this computer that we're on right now, this platform we're on right now, StreamYard, um, Instagram, when we put pictures up, um, the phones that we use, 9 times out of 10, I would gamble to say that they have some type of money intertwined with Saudi Arabia. Saudi
Sure.
Arabia has so many tentacles all over. Matter of fact, and this is matter of fact, this is not a matter of fact, but would, would it surprise me that um the NBA has any type of tentacles or in association with the great empire of Saudi Arabia? Shoot, they're probably gonna have one of these cups out there. They're probably gonna have an Emirates Cup, the Emirates Cup. Duh, that I'm quite sure that has some type of
Mm.
Saudi Arabia, uh, which got tied to it. You know, and if they're all sharing in a revenue share, then that means all 30 teams are guilty of being that. So how would you feel if would you denounce your beloved Phoenix Suns if it came to find out that Matt Ispia had some investments with some Saudi Arabia companies? Would you, by fact, even though you might not actively go on the app formerly known as Twitter as X, if something comes up and it happened to be X, would you read it or do you just automatically discard it? I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not sharing it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not even engaging in it, even though I might have deleted my profile. So that's what I mean. As in, where do we draw the line? Are we going to be hard and fast on? Listen, you choose to do business with these cronies, these immoral people. I don't have nothing to do with you, or am I going to make a compromise? Or like I said with Walmart. Walmart has been totally anti-union. Okay, I currently my job deals with the union. But guess what? If I have a choice between getting $3 loaf of bread at Walmart and a $6 loaf of bread around the way, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get the $3 bread at Walmart because
Right.
at the end of the day, I have to take care of the world that I know. But once again, where do we draw the line? These smartphones, they're made out of the country, sweatshops, what you call it, juvenile, child labor laws, making a
Mhm.
half a cent a week and all
Yeah.
that
I
stuff.
mean, even
Yes,
some of the practices in the country related to some of the workers for yeah. I mean, I interjected because what you're saying resonates, Mike. Yeah, it's a fair question. It's an important
yeah.
question.
So I asked that question to you, like, where do you, particularly,
Mhm.
personally, draw the line of listen, this is a no go, or
Right.
this is something. Listen, I understand. I don't really agree with it,
Right.
but to me, because it's always levels. It's never black and white. There's always shades of gray.
Right.
So
You've spoken
where
about
is your
that.
shades of gray, and where's your black and white issues?
Well, let me start with the first question you asked me with regard to the lowly, my beloved Phoenix Suns. Don't let the Penny Hardaway bobblehead fool you. You know my relationship to the Suns is fractured. I've been very clear that I think Matt Ishbia is a total putz, and I believe the franchise is headed toward ruins. Um, that's actually a heel turn for me, a heel turn take, if you will. I know which show I'm on. My heel turn is Stephen A wasn't all that wrong. You remember when he said Matt Ishbia is the worst owner in the history of the league or the history of sports? Of course, that was hyperbolic and that was extra. But calling Ishbia a putz, not inherently wrong. Ishbia is a very wealthy man, but as a sports owner, it's not been great. Now, to your point, to your question, I should say, I can be disappointed that the Suns are not going to be good next year, most likely, and they're in a very not advantageous spot moving forward as a franchise. And you also know that I tend to follow the WNBA a little bit more closely, but that's a separate conversation. Where would I draw the line? So if it came out that they're doing business with folks over there where, again, there are practices that I just wholeheartedly disagree with, yeah, it would definitely change my support. Now, would I still watch them on TV? Yeah, probably. Would I be apt to attending games or wearing the team's merchandise? No, that's where I would make the conscious decision of, okay, I'm not going to actively, I may support, with my eyes, but actually going out of the way to support and wear the merch, that would change things for me. And as you pointed out, Mike, it's possible there are dealings already happening that maybe I just choose to be oblivious to. It is tough. That is kind of the trauma of being a consumer now. As you pointed out, not only do we have such quick access to merchandise and all these things at the snap of a finger, but also with social media, kind of feeling the pressure to be on those apps, especially as podcasters, dare I say, as people who create art. It often feels like a requirement to spread your art and to get your message out there is to have apps, that belong to a company that also totally bowed down to the current administration and may have global dealings that we disagree with. So for me, where do I draw the line? Again, it goes back to the expectations that I have placed on Phil Brooks, the artist known as CM Punk. A lot of his appeal to me has been that he actually stands for what he believes in. He says it with his chest. He is comfortable doing what he believes is right, not what's popular, but what is right. So if I were to pick a celebrity example of someone who I believe has really done more than just, what's the shut up and dribble, right? When people said that, it's ridiculous. He is someone who I looked at in the limelight who actually is awesome at what they do, but then also stands on business and isn't okay with just going with the status quo. So that's why particularly it's been hurtful to see him, in my opinion, sort of bow down to his superiors, all because money. Again, I can't help but repeat, that's the only reason they're over there. It's because it's $50 million an event. I get it. I totally get that. I just, the moral gymnastics we're willing to do for money, it just, particularly in this era, it really bothers me. But again, that's because my expectations for this particular wrestler, where I put him on a different pedestal than other folks, because part of the character, in my opinion, as a shoot, and then also inside the ring, has been, I actually stand for what's right. And that's why I have this microphone. And that's why I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. So if we weigh all that he's done, the advocacy, you even mentioned the recent No Kings events, if we weigh that versus, hey, this dude wrestled on a Saudi show, and also probably be prepared because he's probably going to be in the Royal Rumble next year, or at least at that event wrestling, he's going to be going moving forward. I just have to, I don't know if I want to say rethink my relationship to him, but I just have to recognize people. You pointed this out, Mike, again, on previous episodes of my favorite weekly podcast here on the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. I just have to recognize and remind myself, and I'm an example of this in my own way, people are complex, they're nuanced, they, like I'm going to take your quote from earlier. It's not always a black and white, especially when we're talking about human beings, especially when we're talking about in this era we live in, where, yeah, I want to go to Walmart because bread may be $3 there versus elsewhere it's $5. I completely do the same thing. I just don't look to Walmart as being the beacon of ethics or being a company whose social values I look up to. right? We know Walmart, Target, name the institution, particularly the ones that have rolled back their DEI efforts. We know what side of history they're on. For them, it's just about the money and the bottom line. I was just at Target the other day, actually a few days ago when it was still June, and the Pride Month displays totally gone for years. There's
You
this,
have
yes,
still frequented Target,
I have, because
Target.
Target, thank you. I don't look to Target as a beacon of values and of societal good.
But they told you who they were.
Yeah, they bow down. They bow down. They kiss the ring. I just thought instead of kissing the ring, CM Punk would give GTSs to people.
Now, not to cut you off.
Please.
The reason I'm bringing up the Target issue, and that's why I open my eyes so wide, is because
I got my Papa Tui. I got my Papa Tui eye patches. You know I did.
Especially here, there's actually been a noticeable difference in the amount of traffic that people, especially people of color, have gone to Target.
Right.
Like my wife said that she has a coworker that works part-time at Target. And she was like, darn, why don't y'all, why don't people come to Target anymore? Like, it's been so slow and my hours got cut and so forth and so forth. So my wife, and others was like, well, because of the issues, and they made a point, especially be public about it. Like, listen, we're rolling that back. Trump said, he's not going to give us tax breaks or whatever, so we're going to roll that back. And they fell in line.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't go, and she was like, yeah, but y'all don't understand, because she thought, and what the woman was saying, it's a valid point. Y'all don't, while I understand that, and you standing on your morals, and I'm not saying for anybody to go against that, she's thinking of it as an employee, like, okay, this boycott or this soft boycott of this store is affecting me personally over issues that I didn't give a yay or nay about, and that's another part in the whole puzzle, that sometimes when we go and look on and we have issues, and especially when it comes to commercialization and stuff, commercialism, that whether we're gonna cancel this place and we're gonna still inhabit this place. A lot of times, who really gets hurt? It's not the people in the office in the ivory tower. It's not even us that are choosing not to go there because we already have an alternative. It's the ones in the middle. It's the actually employees. It's actually the people that's that's literally working
Let's talk about
for their
it.
money.
The everyday person.
So I say all that to say, similarly with WWE, but on a way different scale, because these are, for the most part, if they're not millionaires, they're thousandaires. Like, they got more money than the average Joe. But a lot of times, sometimes I'll think about, like, darn, I really don't, they doing some stuff that I don't really agree with. But first, for partly my entertainment, like, all right, I'll choose to watch what I want to watch. But at the same time, it's like, darn, a lot of people, sometimes I might not like the company. I might like the individuals that work for the company.
Right.
So sometimes it's like you said, it's very nuanced. Like, you can't just put everything with a broad stroke. But when I said, I'm like, hold on, you, Mr. talking about Punk is lowering his standards, you're walking around with the red Target bag. And that's where this question is born from.
Exactly.
Where we draw the line.
Right. And what if and this is probably the description that best summarizes my relationship to Target currently, is, okay, I don't shop there nearly as frequently as previous to them rolling back a lot of their former DEI efforts, but I still shop there, right? So it's like, okay, am I, Tyler, is that a hypocritical relationship to have? Possibly, right? Maybe I need to re-examine, okay, let me do my search. Let me pull up that screenshot I had from a few months ago that a friend posted. Here are the companies that are standing on business and not pulling back their previous efforts, which I happen to agree with.
Are
There
you
you go.
hiding your face?
So
Are you hiding your face in shame?
no, I that's funny. I actually have a screenshot that I saved. I think on the list of thumbs up, it was Costco. It was a bunch of different, national and global companies where, okay, they've kept Kroger, etc. They've kept their DEI policies, and then the ones who haven't, Walmart, Target, etc. So,
Food
the
Lion.
argument could be made. Okay, what am I going to Target for? If I'm going for laundry detergent, because they run those cool specials on the app where if you buy 4, you get a $5 gift card, and as you pointed out, Mike, that's saving me, the everyday person, some money. I like that. But if it's detergent, if it's whatever, and it's something I think about all the time, can I just get that at, let's say, a Fry's grocery store, a Kroger, if you will? Because from what I have read, they have not backed down on those principles. And, that's something that I need to get better at. So I continue to watch WWE, again, in terms of where do we draw the line. And, that's something I've shared with you about on screen, definitely off screen, just re-examining my relationship to these companies in the time we're living in, which can be just, it can just really take a toll on you. And you're like, hey, I'm just trying to live my life, provide for myself and people I care about, and just do good. But also in the time we're living in, I think it's valuable for all of us to consider where we spend our money, right? How we spend our time, where we spend our money, who we vote for. That's immediately how we make the world a better place and more in our vision, if you will. So I continue to watch WWE. I just don't watch the crown jewel shows. So what is that doing to WWE's bottom line? Probably nothing. I just don't watch the 2 or coming up 3 shows a year. But rest assured, especially with La Primera and company, I'm seated for Monday Night Raw on Netflix now. So Crown Jewel happens on a Saturday. I'm outside. I'm frolicking around Glendale. I'm bothered. But come Monday, they're going to get my views. I'm going to watch Raw. I'm going to support Steph and Bianca Belair and, all the wrestlers who I love in the company. And I'm going to tune into WrestleMania. If they come to town, it's very possible I'm going to see them. My most recent WWE show was Raw in Glendale back in, I think this was November 2024. And to your point, Mike, they've been in the thick of this relationship with Saudi Arabia, but I still attended. Back when Goldberg fought the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, at one of the crown jewels years ago, I was at the SmackDown before that show.
You was at the go home show.
I was at the go home show when
Mm.
when Goldberg speared the Fiend, actively knowing that, granted, this was back in like 2019, 2020 maybe, actively knowing in a few days they're going to head to the show that morally I just believe is reprehensible, and that is the one one business I will stand on that I will not watch, though. So in the case of entertainment, I feel more at liberty to at least try to pick and choose what I feel comfortable supporting and what I don't, versus, let's say, as you pointed out, Mike, going to Walmart for groceries or toiletries, or sort of that, or your smartphone, as you point out, or your laptop, for example. You also brought that up. It was a great point. To me, that's sort of the everyday survival. I need food. In my life, in my line of work, I need a laptop, for the podcast, for 4AZ, for Gimmick Infringement. It's nice to have a smartphone and these other things. But if there are aspects of my life, particularly entertainment, where I get to decide, do I really need this or not? That's when I feel more at liberty to say, okay, I don't need this. But again, what is it doing if I don't watch Crown Jewel, but I'm seated for Evolution, SummerSlam? Evolution's different. All of us need to support Evolution. But if I'm seated for SummerSlam, WrestleMania, etc. And if I could just add one more point, Mike, I know I'm going long. What I've really leaned into now, and I've expressed this to you off air, is I have my thoughts on where the company is at and the TKO merger and being partners with UFC. But I also am at the stage in my life and as a consumer where I think it's so important that if we are going to support some of these companies, we also actively make it a priority to support companies that we do believe in. So, for example, on this wrestling tip, I am subscribed to Peacock for WWE, the basic tier, mind you, putting all my business out there. I get the commercials, unfortunately. But, Mike, Steph, you know this about me. This is where I gain the trust back, your trust and your dozens and dozens of audience members. This is where I regain the trust back.
I abhor ads. I will pay the extra couple dollars, even though that's what's pissing me off with Netflix. I pay for no ads, but yet every Monday night I'm inundated with all these freaking ads.
Yeah.
Even on the replay now, I gotta watch ads. But go ahead. I digress.
Well, and what has been a foundational part of our relationship, our friendship, dare I say, is this love of wrestling, right? This shared love of wrestling. It has given my life so much color, so much vibrancy. And still does, right? I'm a forever fan of this. Our friendship, right? Our relationship in many ways was birthed out of this shared love for pro wrestling, was it not?
Yeah.
So, and particularly the largest company, right? Some people don't and it's hot the top how good it is. So I can acknowledge, okay, I don't think I'm ready to totally cut the cord on WWE for work purposes for GI and just probably in general. Because like you said, I want to support a lot of the wrestlers there. They're phenomenal. But on the other hand, I need to make it a point to support a company like Ashe Wrestling, based out of North Carolina, all Black promotion, Black owned wrestling company, right? They host shows live streamed several times a year. AsheWrestling.com. I'm going to pay my $10 or $15 to watch that show. So, okay, I'm not always happy that I'm locked into WWE in the way I am. But when there are these, not even challenger brands, but when there are other alternatives, I want to make sure I support them because, Ashe Wrestling is not going to Saudi Arabia. Ashe Wrestling is uplifting performers who look like us. It's really a for us, by us situation, right? Where these performers who maybe weren't given a real opportunity in these larger companies created this because we asked for it. It's a thing that exists. We can say we're about it. I know a lot of folks put the black squares on Instagram several years ago. But okay, when it comes time to actually invest in people and support who you stand for, if you stand for the Black community and you love wrestling, and if you're any level of bothered with what WWE is doing with their business, why not support an Ashe? So at this stage in my life, it's not only sort of talking to the clouds and having these existential questions about consumerism, but it's also recognizing the need to support really cool initiatives that I think are so important. And again, how we spend our time, who we vote for, and where we spend our money. Ashe is an incredibly great concept. They've gained a lot of fandom in the last year since launching in December 2023. But if people don't buy tickets to attend the shows in Charlotte, if people don't buy those live streams, and how blessed am I and are we that we have discretionary income to buy this, right? Times are tough out here. I happen to have that comfort that I'm going to set aside those dollars to support a company because it makes me feel better about, again, maybe supporting a WWE who, like a lot of companies we spend our time supporting, they have business dealings and they're in the pockets of people that I believe are responsible possibly for ruining public education at the very least. That sounds weird to say, but at the very least, and at the very worst, stripping people of their health care. And at the very, very worst, doing both, which, as you mentioned in previous episodes, is actively happening right now. And guess who probably grabbed lunch with the administration recently?
Cool.
Paul Levesque, Nick Khan online too, Linda McMahon. Yo, how about that education bill? How about students learning about Black history? You think that's no? We should scrap. Okay, let's scrap that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially having celebrating 4th of July, but Gay Pride Month, gone.
Yeah,
Juneteenth.
You mentioned Juneteenth on your previous episode. Yep.
Black History Month, gone.
Yeah, who needs to know? Who needs to know about? No, we don't. No.
I get it. I get it.